Now with us in studio for more is Jeremy Saltan, Director of English Operations for the Yamina List and a political strategist. Great to have you back, Jeremy. You know, I've had Naftali Bennett in this studio, and he hasn't been so quick as the other members of the opposition to call for elections, to call for moving to disband this government. So is this a change of strategy somewhat for Yamina?
Well, let's look at the fact that the coalition is fighting more amongst themselves than the opposition. And of course, for us to go to a new election, the opposition is the minority. We need the coalition to agree to go to a new election for us. But yes, if you're looking at the Yamina position, it's pretty clear there is no alternative government in this Knesset. If there was, we wouldn't have this disastrous catastrophe government that we have right now that is honestly working a lot worse than the transition governments that we had for the year and a half before that. So yes, it is time for us to go ahead and go to a new election. This government isn't working. They can't even get along with each other.
Right. Now, I'm going to we mentioned the polls. I'm just going to mention some of them. The Canada election poll, Likud still leading with 31 seats, Yamina with 21. That's the second biggest party. The Channel 13 poll had Likud a little lower at 27, Yamina a little higher at 23, almost sort of within striking distance there. But if these would be the results, Jeremy, and I'm going to ask you as a political strategist, your party, Naftali Bennett, would have two options here. He could either take the risk of challenging Benjamin Netanyahu for the premiership, try to put together some kind of coalition, or he could accept being a strong number two, junior partner to Netanyahu. But I remind you, being a junior partner to Benjamin Netanyahu, as we see in the current government, can carry some risks.
How does the old saying go? Been there, done that? I think that when it comes time for the next election, I think it's clear to everybody that we're just months away from that. Whether they are able to resolve it right now or 3 months from now, we're going to election in the next 6 months or so. So when that time comes, I think Naftali Bennett is going to be very clear about going ahead and putting forth what I believe will be an alternative to what we see right now.
With himself as prime minister.
I certainly believe, and I think that if you look at the suitability polls that we're watching on every single TV channel, there's a good portion, if not close to, at this point, half of those respondents that have an opinion who feel that Naftali Bennett does deserve to be prime minister. So I definitely agree with those people.
Let me ask you, Jeremy, if one looks at the way this current government was formed, it's almost impossible to escape any other conclusion that Yamina is not in this government simply because of the bitter personal relations, if I could describe that, between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Naftali. But this just seems no other practical reason. Could these two men coexist in a government at the top together?
I've seen a lot of things in Israeli politics. It's dangerous to rule anything out other than perhaps the joint list joining a future Bennett coalition. But I really think that, again, that chapter is closed. I don't really see a situation where we would see that happen. Perhaps you could see Likud in a Yamina government, perhaps under different leadership in Likud, maybe Gidon Sar, for instance. There are a lot of possibilities. We can talk about scenarios from here till tomorrow, but right now the Israeli people are looking at a fact that there's a government that's not working for them. The economy is on brink of collapse. There is no budget that is being presented by this government. Next week is already December. We have a deadline coming up. What are people supposed to vote on when they haven't even read what the budget is? They are playing games with people's lives, and I think a majority of Israelis are sick of that, and that is why they are choosing Naftali Bennett.
Let me raise another issue. Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, is coming to the White House. Naftali Bennett represents the more right-wing view if there would be an election, perhaps supporting annexation or extending Israeli sovereignty into the West Bank, which could bring into conflict with his White House. It's very likely Prime Minister Netanyahu would attack Naftali Bennett on that point. What is Yamina's answer to that?
You know, I'm always confused when I'm listening to Netanyahu. One day Bennett is too left wing, one day is too right wing. I think what you really need to do is go ahead and articulate a picture of what Israelis care about. And what Israelis care about right now is, again, their livelihood, being able to go ahead and combat the coronavirus, get our economy working again. I don't think that this is the time right now that they're going to care about one position or another in terms of right-wing issues that might cause the Biden administration a lot of issues. Because let's be honest, right? When the patient is dying, you don't give him a haircut. Okay, this isn't the time to go ahead and talk about sovereignty when we need to go ahead and get the economy going again and finally deal with the combat of this coronavirus because the government has failed.
I think you've given us a pretty clear picture of what the election campaign of Yamina might indeed well look like. We'll see if it comes to pass in the coming months. Chairman Saltan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.